So ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. My name is Hosanna and I'm sitting here today with my mom. Her name is Angela. And, of course, this is the first time I'm calling my mom by her name like that, We don't call our moms by her name in Africa. So, I'm sitting with my mom on the show. I've invited her here over today, to have a beautiful conversation about her career practice because she is a retired nurse and midwife, registered nurse and midwife. Now, she brings to this interview today, she was the best nursing student in Ahmadu Bello University's area, and of course, the best midwifery student in, EEN where she studied as well. So she has had a very fantastic academic career and as well as an illustrious nursing career as well. She's also a public health nursing officer as well. So the CV is packed, and of course, the experience is very, very wild. Having come from, studying nursing to having to run her own clinic, of course, eventually working with the government, and of course, overseeing and, spearheading, midwifery in rural areas. And of course, one of the most important aspects of her career would be the highlight of, working with HIV positive patients across, the rural areas. A lot of times, these patients will go to different places, they will reject them, but she took in everyone and, of course, handled all those deliveries for nursing mothers. I mean, just imagine being pregnant. And the reason why hospitals were rejecting you back in the day was simply because you were HIV positive. And, of course, because it was rural areas, they would go around town with the stories of these women. Of course, she worked with a high degree of confidentiality and secrecy and, of course, respect to client privacy. So that's exactly why I have her on the show today. So, Nne, you're very much welcome to the show.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to have you. So, Nne, I want us to get to the very beginning of, nursing. In fact, how did you even decide to even study nursing? What led you into studying nursing in the first place? What was the inspiration behind studying nursing?
Well, I think I was inspired as a child, even in secondary school, because while we were in secondary school, once I see a fellow student who appears sick, I would tell that person, go to the hospital clinic and get treatment. And at times I find time to go and visit the person in the clinic.
Oh.
Because sometimes they get admitted. I go and see them. And then by the time we were in Form 3 or 4, I think along with one of my classmates by name Rita Orapo, she's from Nimo, we were saying, I'm going to read nursing. I'm going to read nursing. Without really knowing how we were going to do it. And I must tell you today, Rita herself, she's a nurse.
Wow.
Retired, practiced in Abia State.
Wow.
I met her once in Oka. So from there, that was how it started. And I think somewhere along the line, still in secondary school, I went to our village market and I saw a cousin of mine who was pregnant, but she was looking very sick. I greeted her. I asked after her health. I told her, you are looking very sick. Make sure you go to the hospital. And unfortunately, we lost her in that pregnancy.
Oh, wow. So sad.
So with time, by the time I was in class 5, my dad in particular, his desire was that I should go into teaching. But I refused.
Right here?
I refused. And at that time, I had admission into Obafemi Awolowo University to read BSc nursing.
Wow.
Then the course was going for 5 years. My father said no.
Wow, that far back you gained admission
Yes.
into... How come I've
My
never heard
dad-
this story? Wow.
My daddy said, oh, you can't go and read nursing for 5 years. in the university. He refused. That was how I lost. By the time the school system reopened, admissions were made, and mine was eloped.
Wow. So you
But-
would have been an OAU alumni.
But I refused to give up.
Wow.
Still, I refused to take that nursing form. For I should go and take NCE form for Alva Nikoko or Adeola. Nursing, I mean NCE school at Ondo. I refused. But at a stage, I had to get an uncle of mine who happened to be living in Great Britain then. I told him my problem with my dad.
Wow.
That daddy have refused me going to study nursing. And then, nurses were not well spoken of.
Oh.
You see, that was what made my father to lose interest.
Okay, so they didn't have a very good image.
They didn't have a very good image, but that didn't bother me. All I want was to go into nursing. So after I spoke with my uncle, I told him to intervene. And actually he met with daddy, he intervened, and daddy gave up. That was when I now took a third row form. With the little money I was saving,
Wow.
because daddy wasn't going to give you money
For school of nursing.
for school of nursing.
So that means he didn't really agree.
At least he satisfied my uncle that he have said yes,
Yo.
that I can now go. But he will not give me the money
To go and study nursing.
to go and study nursing, never. So with the money I saved, I was able to take what we call third row form that time. And luckily, or yes, I should say luckily, that was the last third row in Nigeria at that time.
Oh.
It was a test that was run by WAEC for nursing students.
Oh.
But that was the last one.
And what year was this?
That was in 1970. That was in 79.
79. Oh, okay. Wow.
That was in 1970. So I went to Enugu for the exam, and of course, I passed the exam. And Ahmadu Bello invited me for another test within their institution. Then I had no money on me. I had to go on my knee and beg daddy.
You have to go and beg again.
I have to go and beg daddy. Please, these people have sent me a letter to come for a test in Zaria, and I've never been to the north before. My father said, have you been to the north before? I said, Daddy, no. But I'm
From going to study a course he didn't want to, going to the north.
have you been to the north? I said, no. But there are people there. So he gave me, was it? I can't compute the amounts in Naira the way Naira is now, but it's not up to 20 Naira he gave me. And the money took me to Zaria and back.
Wow. Less than 20 naira.
Yes. I went to Zaria. I got to Zaria. I met some of my classmates in secondary school there in School of Nursing. So we parlayed there. We played together. We told our stories, and they informed me of what to expect tomorrow when I face the panel.
Oh, okay.
So the next
Like an
day,
interview.
yes, it's a written test first.
Okay.
You have to undergo the written test first, before the interview.
Before the, oh, okay.
So we wrote the written test. Those that passed were told to wait for interview.
Yes.
And luckily, I was among those that passed. So when we went for the interview, in my form, the form that I submitted, funnily they asked in a section of the form, it was written to state your weight. And there was no scale in the house. There was no place I could get my weight. So I left it blank. I didn't fill. So when I got to the panel, one of the panelists said, Angela, but your form is not well filled. There's a section that is empty here. I said, oh, the weight portion. They said yes. They started laughing. They said yes. I told him that we don't have any scale in the house. And there's nowhere I can weigh myself. That was why I left it blank. He said, but what do you think you will weigh? I looked at myself. I said about 15 kg. They started laughing.
15 kg for a full adult. Okay.
They started laughing. So that done, the head panelist told me, well, that I've not done badly. I should expect to hear from them. I said, really? They said, go, just go. I left. And surprisingly, in less than 3 weeks, the admission letter came.
Wow.
I got the admission. Daddy was just, he has given up on me. She said she wants to study nursing. Now let her go. While we were waiting for a resumption date to come, the nursing basic salary was increased to level 7. That was when my father said, okay, you can go.
Oh, I don't hear money. Okay. So it was the money that now said, okay, now you can
Yeah, I can
Well,
go.
when I said you can go, no, you would have still gone.
I would have still gone. So we're in Zaria. When we got to Zaria, we were the batch that went down to Kaduna
Oh, okay.
for the first, I think the second batch, because I came in late.
Oh, okay.
I came in late. So we're the second batch. I was among the second batch, and we were sent down to the teaching hospital in Kaduna that has hostel. We were there, and all in all, we had about 15 courses. As that time it was called PTS. As PTS student, we had 15 subjects, and it's not a matter of passing 2 or passing 10 and
Having
it's so,
carryover, no?
or no, you just have to pass all. You just have to. So it was a hell of a time. Some of us even had to leave.
Wow.
Because they said they didn't know nursing was
That difficult.
that difficult with studying, that they thought it's just to learn how to give injection and the rest. They left.
Wow.
Even my roommate had wanted to leave. I was the one that pacified her.
Wow.
I was the one that pacified her. She had wanted to go to Ambrose Ali, to run and go to Ambrose Ali University. I told her, look, you think the course there is not
It's different from what you're studying. Is it to study the same nursing there?
Not to study, maybe she's going, she says she can study anything there, but this nothing that she thinks is just for her to come and learn how to give injection. And she have up to 15 courses
To read and pass.
to read and pass. No, I told her. Now she's a retired nurse in Canada.
Oh, in Canada. Wow.
So,
I'm sure now she's not regretting anyway.
no, she's not regretting. We are in the same alumni now. She's not regretting. So, by the time our PTS was done, we now went in. Our PTS took 6 months. After PTS, we now went back to Zaria, and the course continued.
So now, I mean, it's very nice, getting to. Because I'm now hearing parts of your story and your history that I didn't hear, earlier on, even in private conversations. But what I want to, really ask is the way your generation of nurses were trained, and the way the generation of nurses these days are being trained. What significant differences can you see, or how would you, compare the training of that era to, the training of this era?
Well, the training of our era, in fact, there's a big difference between the training of our eras and now. Even some that I saw maybe while I was
Because you had opportunity to work with much, much younger nurses,
much
in late,
younger nurses
yeah.
and to train nurses in clinical practice. You find out that the difference is much. But then I would say it's due to the caliber of lecturers we had in our time.
Yeah.
One of our lecturers, while we were in PTS, the motto he had for us was that we must try to be jack of all trade and master of all.
Jack of all trade, master of all.
Master of all. And that was what many of us ended up being. Jack of all trade, master of all. Because of the enthusiasm and passion in us. But I'm sorry to say that nurses of these days, I'm sorry to say they don't have that passion.
They don't have the passion that...
They don't have the passion that we had.
Okay, so the main difference between your era and the era of today is in the passion.
It's the passion. It's in the passion, and it's in what they got from their...
People who train them.
From people who trained them. Because in our days, most of our lecturers are from the US.
Oh.
Some are from England.
Oh.
You understand?
Yes.
With degrees, masters, and all whatnot. Health officers, I can name some of them, Ms. Asokwa, my late principal, D.S. Usman, Mrs. D.S. Usman, Mr. Oni, Mrs. Kuponiyi, and Mrs. Nathan. These are all overseas trained nurses.
So I think so from what I'm now getting, I think with the way Nigeria was at the time, nurses went overseas because these are Nigerian names you just mentioned. There's Yoruba, there's the
Yes.
Hausa, and there's the Asukwa is from Akwa Ibom.
Yes.
So that means they were Nigerians from multiple regions of the country who gained training overseas and brought back what they learned.
And brought back
And
what?
taught your generation of
Yes.
nurses. But these days, the nurses of this era do not have that privilege to have people coming in from overseas to actually share, the knowledge. And that's actually a very, very big. That's a huge gap in the difference. But anyway, one thing I want to equally know, because I know over the years you started your own, your own practice in Efata Maternity Center. Of course, that would go on to, run for over 20 years as a private practice. How did you start Efata Maternity? What led to, EFATA becoming a reality? Because you had experience, working in, within the private sector and of course across governments as well. So what led to, starting EFATA?
Well, it's a long story. Um, After finishing, when I completed my midwifery course at School of Midwifery in,
What year was that?
that should be 1980, 85, 86.
85, 86. Wow. Okay.
When I completed my 1 year midwifery training at ANU, and by the grace of God, I came out with the best midwife of my set. I didn't know how it happened.
You were also the best, nursing student in Ahmadu Bello University, right?
Yes.
So I've always known you to be the best nursing student in Ahmadu Bello. I didn't know you were also the best midwife of your set.
No, I was best midwife of my set at ENU.
And also the best.
I didn't even know how it happened. But I was told I was the best. And I had a very good seasoned tutors in School of Midwifery. My principal, late Mrs. Nkemena, she was the principal then. Mrs. Iyebo, Ngozi Iyebo, was a senior nurse tutor.
Is it the Iyebo for Big Banner?
Yes.
Oh, really? Okay.
Mrs. Iyebo, she's a very nice, jovial woman.
Oh, wow.
Then I have Mrs. Omame from Onitsha. They are all our tutors. And I didn't know how they came out of with that. But after my midwifery, I worked for some years as a nurse midwife, even here in Lagos. I returned to the East and went back to Nsukka to read public health in School of Health Technology in Enugu. I can't remember the year now.
I think that should be 95, 96.
Thereabouts, should be 95, 96. So my aim of going to School of Health Technology for public health was to get me closer to the ground root population. And when I came out, I worked at Utuacha in a private hospital when the crisis between Aguleri and Umuleri came out.
That was in 1998.
Yes, I had to leave. I was lucky I wasn't there. I was off and I traveled. Then I was at the place where I went to when I heard that there is a war in Utuacha. I couldn't even go out to pick anything from the house.
Wow.
But that was it. So when I came out in that war, from that war, empty-handed, I was in St. Joseph Adazi. But there was a time we were discussing with one of the matron there, Matron Lucille. And when they discovered that I was from Utocha and I came out penniless, they organized the workers to contribute some stipend and give me as compensation. I'm very grateful for that. And we continued. Then somewhere along the line, I think I was going on duty, I met a lady from the nearby village with her daughter who is about 18 years old, and she was pregnant. They went to General Hospital, but it was during the evening time, so they got no attention. And this woman met me on the way. She pleaded with me that I should help her. She doesn't know what to do. That was how my midwifery in the village started.
You don't know. Wow.
That girl, that particular girl, went on to have 3 kids.
Wow.
And by the time the child was having the second kid, I told the mother, your daughter has to go for family planning, else she will have another child. She said, it's against their religion. Within 1 year, she got
pregnant again.
That's just when the mother now said,
she wants family planning now.
No. So from there, I continued, and being that I have scarcity, I wasn't able to fully equip the clinic the way it should be. So I was very, very meticulous when it comes to taking in patients for care.
Oh.
When it's a case I cannot manage, I refer, because you don't play heroism in practice. What you cannot manage, you refer. If you keep the patient and say you must try it out, that's where patients die.
Oh.
So that was how it started. And as patients were delivering, with time, others started coming in from around the villages. They now started coming in without even, in fact, some of them even forgot there are midwives in General Hospital.
Wow.
And at a stage, I heard that they were calling me a one-man squad.
Because I remember for years you ran the clinic, by yourself. Eventually, before you started getting a nurse, you got nurses too.
I only got nurses by the time you were about entering the university.
Yes.
And I felt that what I was getting, because it was as if I was running a charity there.
Yes.
Some people will deliver, they will say they don't have money. I would tell them, just give me whatever you have.
Yes.
So it wasn't as if I was out there to make myself rich.
Yes.
Sure, you understand? So by the time the MSS, the Midwife Service Program, came out
Under Goodluck Jonathan.
Under Goodluck Jonathan and Dr. Patti.
Yes, Mohammed Patti.
Mohammed Patti. That's why I love him, because he helped me to train my son.
Yeah, exactly.
So I now have to train a nurse, because I wasn't able to employ and pay a nurse in that rural clinic. I had to get.
I don't think it wouldn't have even been easy to convince a nurse
to come to that rural area.
And work.
So I had to get an intelligent girl, train her, work with her. When I trusted that she can now take deliveries, that was when I now left for the midwives service scheme. But then
you were always going back and
I was always going back and forth. And whenever she has problem, she has to call me, and I'll tell her what to do.
So I think, so now I'm actually very much, I'm honestly enjoying.
So you should thank Patti.
Yes, I'm honestly very thankful to. I'm honestly very thankful to Patti.
So,
but now when we look at, running the clinic in a rural area with limited resources, limited electricity, everything was limited, and somehow you still managed to have 0 maternal mortality. What were the biggest challenges? Because I've just mentioned some, but what were some of your biggest challenges outside of what I just mentioned?
Well, in the first place, there was no electricity in that place. So all along, I was using local lantern, like Nightingale.
Wow.
to conduct deliveries.
Wow.
There was no electricity. I was using lantern.
Because I remember those days, some people would come and then you just go with the lantern, and that was what you actually used to conduct those deliveries.
Yes, I was using lantern. There was no electricity, and I could not afford the gen.
Wow. I mean, I think those days, generators, I think you could easily have afforded the generator, but I just remember you never liked generators because aside the noise, but generators were not a very popular thing. And I don't think, in fact, in the whole of that village, I don't think anybody had a generator, as far as I remember.
No, there was no generator in the village.
There was no generator. Nobody had anything.
There was no
Nobody had anything that looked like a generator. It's just like thinking about it. And you actually still ran the clinic like that.
Yes.
So now, if you look back, let's say you were to go back and relive your nursing career, what would you do differently?
Well, I was in the practice for almost 40 years.
Mm-hmm. That was more than 40 years.
Precisely 43 years.
43 years.
I was in practice for 43 years, so you can't tell me if I can go back.
Well, you can't go back, but I mean, what would you change anything about your career? Would you what would you change?
Well, if I'm to go back now,
Mm-hmm.
it has to be a well-furnished
Clinic.
There must be light.
Definitely.
There must be water.
Yes.
The beds must be well spaced. And patients should be comfortable when they come.
But I don't think you are looking in that direction.
No. I think I'm done with.
You've had enough.
I've had enough. But when I see newborn babies on social media,
you remember your days.
I remember my days. I feel like, but then.
Okay. So I think along the line, one of the most important work that I remember, at least this time, I'd already become a full adult, because in most of your earlier years I was much younger. I didn't really have a clear picture of what was going on. But I think where I had a clear picture of what was going on was your work with IHVN and FHI.
360.
FHI 360. So your work with IHVN and FHI 360 was very important, with the rising cases of HIV in rural areas. How did you get started with that, and how were you able to manage, because you are at the forefront of rural healthcare? So how were you able to manage, that partnership, and, of course, the level of confidentiality that goes with, that kind of sensitive, health condition?
Well, let me start by telling you that one of my clients happens to be, I captured her as a HIV positive client, and I directed her to the government hospital around for a delivery. While she was there, stories started flying around in the village that she's positive. And somebody went to the market, came to my clinic, and reported to me that at one salon she went to in the market, that they were saying that so is HIV positive, and she has been coming to my clinic. I was pissed off. I told her, I said, who did you hear this information from? She refused to tell me. And the sad part of the story was that the woman herself heard. By the time she went back to the hospital, maybe the way they were now treating her, she was not happy. She came back, she wasn't going to the clinic again until she went into labor.
Without going to the clinic?
And she sent for me. He sent somebody to tell me that she's in labor. And when I got there, she was almost about to deliver. I wore my gloves. took all my instruments, I delivered her.
Wow.
Then there was another case that came down from the city. She delivered in my clinic. So when IHVN was going around to assess how they would start care in Anambra State then, they got to that hospital. They now directed them to me.
Oh, so that's how they came.
That's
that you are the person
exactly,
So, because at the
exactly.
hospital they rejected them, but when they get to you, you treat them. Wow.
So when they got to that same hospital, they now told them to come to me, that I was the one taking care
Of HIV mothers.
of HIV. That was how I got into IHVN care. And I worked with them. They gave us training, gave us equipment, both gloves, boots, apron, caps, and everything, and even drugs. And with time, I now worked with them at NAUT as a coordinator, network coordinator of our zone. And in the process, we now take in, when we capture HIV positive mothers, we take care of them, give them drugs. When they have their babies, we tell them how to take care of their babies safely, because we want to have a HIV-free infant. After some times, we do their test and discharge them at 18 months. That's a year and 6 months. And luckily, all the clients that came to us, they all have negative babies. We tell them to breastfeed, but when you have a sore on the breast, you stop.
You don't breastfeed. Yeah.
So that was it.
I mean, I think your connection with IHVN is nothing short of a miracle. So from what would turn out to be, from them turning down, what do you call it, turning down HIV patients, and you say, see who takes care of HIV patients here, and naturally you embraced everyone. So I know you would have wanted me to go in medical line, but I eventually didn't go in medical line. But I'm sure you are very proud of what I'm doing now at the moment. So one thing that I would like you to, let's say you have an opportunity, you are sitting in a room full of young nurses. What advice would you give the nurses of today, as regarding their career? And also, one of the things that we've noticed now is that, like you said, your era, you worked mostly based on passion. These days, most nurses, everybody is studying nursing. A lot of eyes are in, working in London, working overseas, working, and sometimes you wonder what's going to be left for us here in Nigeria. So, what would you tell the young person that is currently studying nursing today that happens to be watching this video? Or that is a young nurse today that happens to be watching this video?
Well, any nurse, if I happen to be in a group of young nurses, one, I'll be so proud of them, because that will give me the confidence that there is continuity in this practice. Mm-hmm. They are like we have given them the baton to carry on the race.
Yes.
But then they have to do it with passion, with empathy, and be thorough while in practice. Because at times I've been in a situation where I found out that a particular midwife does not care to wash instrument properly after delivery. And I called her attention. You have not washed these instruments well. Are you going to boil them? Do you think they will be sterile? Wash them by the standards we are taught. Then you can now boil and ascertain the sterility of the instruments. While I was in School of Midwifery at EN, once I was in the and posted to the pediatric unit, ICU. You have premature babies there. You have to feed them accordingly. Some of them are on 3-hourly feeding. But some nurses don't feed them that way. Maybe they feed them 6-hourly or 4-hourly. And you will only find that because the baby will not be gaining weight.
Oh.
It was while I was in that unit on a particular shift. The next morning as I was going home, I fainted.
Whoa. Is that stressful?
It was that stressful. Luckily, I was with some other midwifery students, Ujua Chike and co. By the time I was about to slump, I said, help, somebody hold me. And they held me. That was I didn't fall down. So that was it. I will encourage them to show some passion and be empathic and be ready to learn, because what you don't learn as a student, once you qualify, there's nobody, pride will not allow you to come down and learn it again. But as a student, you can ask any question. You are still in training, you are learning, you can ask any question. Anybody will be, who is trained and knows what she is doing, will be willing to tell you the correct thing to do. But once you qualify, it's not easy as a qualified staff.
To come and ask all those questions.
And to start asking questions that students are asking. It's not proper.
So ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of the show. I hope you enjoyed the conversation. I mean, I've always wanted to have this conversation, sit down with my mom and, have a conversation around, her nursing career and how she studied and all of these things. And I simply hope that you have been able to pick up 1 or 2 values. Now, she was the best nursing student in her set in Ahmadu Bello University's area. And now I am also learning that she was also the best midwifery student in EENU. So you can see that the apple does not really fall far from the tree. I mean, my mom is an incredibly brilliant woman, did very well in her career, did excellently as a student as well. And I'm very, very happy and proud, to have come from her. So please give this video a like wherever you find it. You're going to find clips and bits and pieces of it across social media. Give this video a like, subscribe, show her love in the comment section, of course, engage with the comments, and I'll be more than happy to see you with our next guest. Cheers.
Bye.